So now we're going to start the primering. You want to make sure that you have your area taped down or somewhere safe to work in. Make sure you have plenty of ventilation, of course. If you don't know how to use spray paint safely, just don't do it at all, for the love of God. You're going to need a good primer. Now for this purpose, I have used the Duplicolor self-etching primer. The difference between self-etching primer and other types of primer is that self-etching primer really bonds itself to aluminum and other metals. This is a type of primer you want to use. Don't use any other primer. Do the self-etching. If you can find Duplicolor, even better. I've had really good luck with the Duplicolor. Let's begin. So you're going to want to make sure you do some very light coats on it at first. 6 to 10 inches away. And what I just did there that you don't want to do when it comes to the main paint especially is you want to spray away or start spraying away from it, otherwise you get a huge spatter there. It's not going to matter too much for primer, but it is going to matter for the actual paint. A couple quick backs and back and forth. Make sure you get the sides too. Again, make sure you wear your mask. And you're going to wait about 2 minutes between each coat. Play Angry Birds meanwhile. So as the paint is drying, you're going to notice there's a few little holes in the Bondo, more than the super glue really could have covered. Not happy with that. So as soon as this dries and cures, I'm going to go ahead and take another mix of Bondo and I'm going to put a very thin layer on top. Hopefully that'll fix a lot of the problems that have been going on. But first I'm going to sand the heck out of it, even maybe possibly ripping off some of the Bondo, just to find out what's going on there. But yes, let's look at the rest of the turntable. You'll notice that a lot, I'm not worried about the inside of the platter, but you'll notice that a lot of it is already dried up nice and pretty. This is where any imperfections may pop up. Our next step is going to be sanding. So make sure you have some regular sandpaper ready. So you want to make sure you get rid of any imperfections in there. Once you have your main coat done, you'll want to wait a bit. Usually about 30 minutes in warm weather, a little bit longer in cooler weather. I'm going to give it about 45 minutes or so. After that, we'll begin the next step. Don't forget to paint your tone arm pieces as well. Make sure that you have the threads taped off. And then on the other side of the tone, or the other part of the tone arm, make sure you have the little metal piece where the weight goes on taped off as well. So the next step is going to be, you're going to want to sand this down. If everything went right for you, you're going to want to sand this down just a little bit and then spray one thin coat of primer over it. However, there's a few glitches I need to fix. First, I have a couple of bumps here that I need to get out. And I have this, which I don't know where the heck that came from. So I'm going to take that stuff out, then I'm going to sand the whole thing a little bit, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to start with this real quick, and we're just going to take those out. We now have this sanded down. We're going to repair this in a little bit. I'm going to take some sandpaper and just scratch the surface of it. If you notice how a lot of this is starting to come out around the edges, that means that the paint, the primer wasn't on too thick. And of course, you know, the edges always get undone first. So you got to be very careful not to do that. Because of this, I don't use a sand block, but rather I just apply very light hand pressure. So around the edges, if you don't want to do circular motion, it's understandable. If you have your paint chipping up, it means that the primer did not dry properly. When you first spray, if you see it bubbling up, it means that you didn't clean it right or you didn't prep your surface. You want to start over again when that happens. And stop.